Lightning crashes.
It's true. I should blame you.
Yeah, you should blame me, but he's the one who owns the PS4.
I've got so many games on backlog. I'll get to Devil May Cry. But I still want to get through Darksiders 3. I want to play Arkham Asylum. I want to play the second season of Life is Strange.
Get it out.
Get it out! Whip it out!
Whip it out, boy!
Want to see my Packer?
Want to see it?
You want to see my Packer?
I want to see my Packer.
I want to see your dick!
This podcast rated R.
This podcast is always rated R.
There it is!
This lawsuit is unfounded.
They didn't realize that she had previously tried to kill the same man, was framed for the murder, but she got away with it because they
Double jeopardy.
They came up. Yep, it's double jeopardy. So this whole court case got thrown out.
Yep.
Clink, clank.
Clink, clink,
Clink,
clunk, clink. Hello,
Clunk.
and welcome to Strange Happy Hour. Each and every week we come together to talk to you about the nerdy video game and technology news. There's so much of it, we don't even have enough time to talk about all of it. I am one of your hosts, Brent the Jester Head Metcalf, along to my right.
John Pettit, Handsome John.
You like that?
I was waiting for it too. I was like, it's going to be
And I'm the dispatcher, Mark Plover.
On the left. He's like the Falcon when I'm Captain America. On the left.
Black Falcon.
Yeah. That was multiple jokes that don't need to be referenced again. We're going to move forward. Surprisingly enough, it was a slow news week, but there's still some stuff we wanted to talk about, such as the Ghost Recon beta, which was announced today, along with the first year of content. There was a brand new Shovel Knight content and spin-off news announced, as well as some leaked Resident Evil co-op game. But there's no time to talk about all that because we can only talk about here on this very show the important shit. And Mark, you're going to go last because you're so removed from the depressing news that John and I have to cover. Mine's really depressing. John's less depressing.
I'm not. Mine's actually
honestly,
uplifting a little bit.
Honestly, mine's a little. Mine pisses me off a little bit. But
Well, we'll
get
talk
there.
about it, but I
Okay.
think it's more uplifting than depressing.
So we're going to talk first about a strange series of events that ended in a tragedy, starting with an announcement that the game from developers behind A Night in the Woods had been canceled. As of Monday, one of the lead programmers, Alec Holoka, I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly, HOLOWAWKA, was accused of sexual harassment. There was some pretty in-depth, in-detail talks of the woman he had dated previously with verbal abuse, sometimes even physical restraint, keeping her locked in the apartment that they stayed in after promising to help build the game that she wanted to make, pushing away the people around her that she was trying to build the game with so that he would be the sole developer. 3 years worth, apparently. Now, this is all accusations, and I do want to point that out because we did not get too much of his story, and unfortunately we won't because as of Saturday, he was found in his apartment dead. He had taken his own life. Part of that, apparently, from coming from his sister, has to do with the fact that he has struggled with all kinds of mental illness his entire life. Losing the gig with the developers behind A Night in the Woods kind of hurt. Apparently, these accusations weren't the only reason why they severed ties. Apparently, there's been a very tumultuous working environment between the two for quite some time. But it has culminated in the loss of a life, which is terrible. No one really wishes this upon anybody, even the cruelest of individuals. Again, everything that was like talked about with him, we will not get any sort of his side of the story unless there's actual evidence that was not his word.
I don't think there'll be much closure.
Yeah, unfortunately. And his sister was quick to point out, and I actually want to read her quote because I believe it is incredibly important at the end of her statement on Twitter, which was, in a quote, and in case it's not already fucking obvious, Alex specifically said he wished the best for Zoe, who was his accuser, and everyone else. So don't use your grief as an excuse to harass people. Go outside, take care of someone, and work towards preventing these kinds of things in the first place, end quote, which I could not agree more with.
Yeah, I mean, it's also it's not her responsibility to come up with excuses for his behavior or even rationalizations for them. So, anybody who's, pointing at her and trying to pass the buck of blame is just really pissing in the wind.
Yeah,
There's
absolutely.
no point in trying to,
I think that comes back to lack of closure. You're going to point fingers at something, so you're going to point fingers at
the case can still go on. I mean, those people could technically still sue and whatever is going to be distributed with the property would be frozen, with all of his assets and everything else. So I mean, if there was to be financial gain from it, what have you.
Yeah.
If they decide to
But
pursue
the
it.
people who were brave enough to come forward to do this are going to be denied
Yeah.
their justice, and that is ultimately very sad as well, especially in this time where we don't get to see that form of justice really come through.
Yeah.
But we've seen it more and more lately. It's just not as prevalent.
Yeah.
And to see something like this happen, I'm just like, it's just disappointing.
It's very frustrating, and I'm already seeing hate thrown at her and other individuals that have sided with her in this scenario, which is kind of ridiculous. Like the man has already lost his life at this point in time. Like why fester it? Why make this already sad event even worse by throwing nothing but hate and spewing it back out into the world at this point in time?
Well, I mean, I guess
Personally, my reaction is you should try, much like his sister was saying, like try and make it better.
apparently he was going for help.
Yes,
and
he
was
was.
going to, I guess, meetings of some kind.
Yeah.
In Canada, and so I mean, I don't know if this. I'm sure this was probably an ongoing thing, and this was just a bubble bursting that he was just felt ultimate despair and did what he did. But it's a little weird because of the timing, and so it seems like maybe he's like felt guilty or that just may have pushed him over the edge. That doesn't necessarily mean guilt. It just means that he was a troubled individual that did what he did because pressure was possibly too high.
It also sounds like there's a lot more going on other than just the accusations. Again, he was losing sway and fell out of favor with the developer that he has been primarily working with, where he's been making a lot of his income. That is never good for a professional who is also not necessarily tied to a company. Like it's one thing if you're working for Microsoft and you're, Todd Ferguson or somebody up there and you have a falling out and you leave, but you still have the kind of backing of your legacy behind, whereas his smaller legacy doesn't necessarily give him the same sway in the industry.
Right.
Did he leave any children behind?
Not that I'm aware of. Yeah. But
Well,
I
it
honestly
was going to
don't
be
know.
just kind of disappointing too.
Yeah.
For any family members who would be reliant on financial benefit from an insurance policy that they won't be getting paid out on
Unfortunately,
in order to
yeah.
help with dealing with this.
Unfortunately, yeah. So, it was just a sad topic. It felt, especially in even in a busy news week, it would have to be touched upon simply because of the ramifications of these kinds of actions. I think it's very important for people to understand that your actions do matter, even if it's the final action you make in this world.
Yep.
So, moving on. Again, that was going to be a short one because there's not a whole lot more to say.
Yeah.
Moving on to your topic there,
Johnny Petit.
Johnny Petit.
Telltale Games gets bought out, and there are mixed feelings about it.
This is very interesting.
Yes. I know you're leaning one way over the other, just based on your past comment.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit more hopeful. Telltale Games was bought out by LCG Entertainment. I don't know what LCG stands for. I wasn't told, and there might not even be a name for that acronym. But Jamie Ottley and Brian Waddle are the CEOs, apparently, of this company. Jamie Ottley was the founder of Galaxy Pest Control, which also did the games like Duck Dynasty and Power Rangers. And Brian, yeah, I know, super hope there. Brian Waddle ran sales and marketing for the Havoc engine.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Okay, yeah,
engine.
that's cool.
So they've been in the game industry. They understand how it works. So that's a good thing. And they've been around for a while, and they've had some success, obviously. That brings me hope as a individual who likes these games. Options for the original Telltale employees were offered for freelance roles temporarily and with possible permanent roles later on down the future, which makes sense.
Yeah.
They're taking it slow. They're not trying to bust down doors and trying to make all their money back all at once. They're not
Right.
making the same mistakes that Telltale
I would say they're
made
also
in the
not going
beginning.
to staff up 200 people that they can't afford. And
And it just makes, like, again, they're doing everything that I would do personally and how I would attack the situation. Right now, they've locked in the Batman and Wolf Among Us properties, and there was another game. It was a puzzle game. I am super excited too. Wanted a Wolf Among Us 2 really badly. Now,
Telltale Batman's super solid too.
yeah,
So having a
season
third
1
game,
and 2 both very good.
Oh,
They will not be able to get The Walking Dead That, I mean, they'll be able to sell the backlog and what has been created, which is a good thing. So
And
they stay on the story.
that is because the publishing rights moved over to
Skybound.
who-
Yeah, they
who's
took it
the
back
company.
over in order to finish off the
the
last
main
two
game, yeah.
episodes,
Yep.
Right.
which was I'm super thankful for.
Yeah, because that
Beautifully
ending.
done.
If you have not finished the final season of Walking Dead and you're a fan of any kind, you should.
Yeah, it was amazing. Looking at how to go, they're looking at how to go forward through these future properties and looking at buying back some of these licenses and what they're going to do. Like, they're taking their time. So that's awesome. Now, some people are complaining because they're saying, we lost 250 jobs because of the poor management through the original Telltale games and management, which they are currently still in lawsuits because of what happened. And people are asking them to pay the old Telltale games debts and stuff like that. I'm like, that's not their responsibility. This is a totally separate group. They bought the rights and everything else related to the company. They didn't buy the problems at which other people caused.
They didn't buy the organization, which is what the debts are tied to.
I was going to say this is completely different because of the fact that they are starting a new organization using the properties and possible previous employees.
I would say technically Skybound is the one who owned or bought the company, so they're the ones who.
They didn't even buy the company; they just bought the rights to Walking Dead.
They just got that back.
Oh,
and then they finished it. That was it.
So the company is still out there in bankruptcy,
just sitting in the wind,
and they've just sold off all of their assets at this point. Everything that they had tied to it.
It sucks. I mean, like that's how bankruptcy works. I mean,
yeah, and I'm thankful because I like storytelling games, and Audley does too, and that's why he wanted to continue this. He thought that there was a huge market that the original Telltale company really missed.
Oh my God,
they missed the
100%.
point. They were doing Minecraft and all these other games all at once with so many different licenses that they just couldn't keep up.
Yeah.
Including there was a Netflix show and stuff like that. So with the swirl of emotions that come with all this, a lot of people are even trying to say they want to boycott the new Telltale Games company, and I'm like, that's pointless. There's no reason for that. You're asking for hostility just for the sake of hostility at this point. You're not hurting the people that hurt you.
Yeah, it's a very misguided. Now, granted, anyone's allowed to do what they want. You can boycott whatever.
Yeah.
First of all, I don't think this company's going to come out with the name Telltale Games. Like,
I think it's just literally them, so that way you understand what's being going on.
Secondly, again, this is new management. Now, granted, it's new people who have not been involved with the previous franchises, has not been involved with the previous management or team members. They understand from the outside how it works. Who knows how well informed they were of how the company went down.
Yeah.
So caution, I think, is a very reasonable reaction here.
Well, yeah. And, them saying, I'm offering right now, they're hiring for 10 positions and they want the old Telltale Games employees because they want that talent back. Now, a lot of these guys went and found new jobs, obviously. They had to. They had to feed themselves and house themselves.
right.
But a lot of people are saying, the temporary jobs, we live in one of the highest, cost of living areas in the nation. We can't just work off freelance work. I'm like, it's also not their job to provide you. It's not like their obligation. They're doing it because they want to. They want your talent, and they understand what's going on, and they're trying to help.
Right, but you are still freelance. I mean, you're an individual contractor, a private
with
contractor.
permanent things down the road, which makes more sense because they don't have a need for the permanent position right now.
Well, and they can also just say no. Like, I mean, that's fine. Like, if it's not for you, it's not for you.
Exactly. If you're in need of money and you're like, I already understand how this works, that's an easy transition for you.
As far as I was reading, I don't think there was a previous employee who was like, they should hire us back fully. It's mostly people like around in social media areas.
Yeah, and I'll be fair. I'm not saying that
it's a moot point anyway. Like,
yeah. I just meant like I don't think anybody is clamoring for like we want you to pick up where they left off who previously worked there.
I mean, honestly, everyone else at Telltale
there's no
to
names
this,
anyway.
Yeah.
Everyone else at Telltale to this point, I feel like is kind of. I'd imagine by now they're getting kind of tired of the toss around too.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like they're going through one company with bankruptcy where it was falling out of and suddenly a rescue company comes in, they migrate over there, and then it's like, okay, now we're selling off the assets again to another company to do exactly the same thing. So okay, I guess we'll just figure our own thing out here.
On an article from Polygon, Jamie Otterly stated that it is imperative that we take a slow and methodical approach to the growth. In a follow-up interview with Polygon, we want to build a sustainable company with a healthy, non-crunch work culture.
Good.
So they're going through everything that we would want from that to happen. Like, we want to take what Telltale was and make it what it should have been.
Yep.
And that to me is beautiful.
Yeah.
Right.
And
absolutely.
I love those games. I love those properties. I saw the potential in them. and I want to see them, further grow as well.
Yeah, anybody who's poo-pooing this right away, I think, is a little short-sighted because, again, this is the beginning of something. This is by far and away not like, and we're starting development tomorrow. Like they're working on their approach, what the first game's going to be, like how all of that will work. Of course, they're probably creating ties with WB because they're the ones who control the actual Batman and Fable licenses, which is what those games are based off of. Of course, hiring, figuring out they may not even stay in San Francisco. Like right now, they're talking about
they're based out of San Diego or something like that.
So they may even move somewhere else. Like at this point in time, there's so little to know here other than that they're attempting to bring back those franchises, which sounds great.
Unfortunately, one of them they did not get back was Borderlands, and I really would have loved to see an extension of that.
Yeah, so...
and Guardians of the Galaxy. It was another one that they don't have the rights to anymore either.
You throw that shit in the garbage.
Yeah, I'm about to say, you didn't even enjoy that one. So.
Like, by the end of it, I was like, and that was a game, I guess. Yeah, that's fine. But I think that, 2K, there's people at 2K who are like, we want to make the next Tales of the Borderlands. So that may be a thing eventually.
Yeah, but I don't see them wanting to...
well, 2K...
Can you imagine the in-game currency
on
stuff?
a completely different, like, tangent. They're doing weird things in general, like the fact that the Troy Baker didn't come back to reprise his character from Reese from Tales of Borderlands, who's in 3, the voice actor for Claptrap, who was an employee there previously, who doesn't work there anymore, was like, hey, I'll do the voice again. You just have to pay me since I no longer work there. And they're like, no, we'll just get somebody else. Like the weird, shady things they're doing just to make 3. I'm like, I don't know. And then, of course,
and then there's Epic.
Yeah. But they're freaking, they're not CEO. Is their CEO? I don't know.
Which one?
Who runs their company, who creates... It's not 2K. 2K's the publisher. The creator is...
Tencent?
No, the creator, the developer of Borderlands. I can't remember the name right now. Gearbox.
Studios.
Yeah. Their CEO...
I was thinking person, and I was just like, oh.
Randy Pitchford, is that who it is? Like he's crazy.
Oh, yeah. He's the one who went off on everybody on Twitter or whatever because their decision to go to Epic. Yeah, that wasn't our decision. That was 2K's decision. And then he just starts laying into people.
Yeah.
You're fine for like the first 5 minutes.
Dude is nuts. So that's a whole other tangent in and of itself.
Yeah, we already discussed that.
Yeah.
There's a previous episode somewhere to talk about it.
You were feeling a little bit more negative about it?
It's not necessarily negative. It's cautious optimism. So I am excited.
Yeah.
For these properties to return. I am excited to see the possibility that these teams can come back together because I think they had something special there. And people have talked, like there's a great No Clip documentary about the fall of Telltale. And they talked about how like I worked here under these crazy circumstances because what we had was special between me and my coworkers.
Yeah.
Management sucked. The work hours sucked. But what we could do, nobody else in the industry was doing. And we had the opportunity to really make that special. So having that possibly arise again sounds awesome.
Mm-hmm. Well, apparently they have the same hiring manager that was there from the original Telltale games, who was not in any way a part of like the bad culture from the
a hiring manager. A hiring manager is fairly low compared to the manager scale of things.
So. Yeah, she's looking out and contacting people, trying to gather, and she's doing everybody that is starting to like work with them has said nothing but good things. So
the hope is we will not hear anything about this again for another 1.5 2 years.
When we hear a game announcement.
Correct. That is my hope right now. Because if they come forward beforehand, unless there's when we bought the assets, we bought the work that was previously done, so we are this far ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And that could be why they would be looking at buying, previous licenses.
But if we're talking like 2-3 months from now, they're like, and we're announcing Batman season 3. You're like, whoa.
You were on a good track.
Yeah.
Why'd you ruin it?
Yep.
That would just be bad PR all over the place.
Oh, my Lord. But let us know what you think because Telltale is a very touchy subject these days. And of course, we are passionate here. He is a very patient observer.
I did enjoy Telltale Batman for what I played of it.
So good.
Dude,
so good.
It's such a great Joker.
And Troy Baker's the only person to ever play Batman and Joker. So there you go.
Oh, yeah.
He's a special individual.
I love Troy Baker so much. You can tell us in the comments above Mark.
Below.
Moving on to the final topic of the show. The final important it's your turn there, Mark.
So, Android Q. I refuse to call it what they're actually going to call it.
Which is?
Queef?
Android Q. No, it's Android 10, but it's Android 15, but it's Android 10, but it's the 15th actual version. Anyway.
I don't understand what's going on right now.
You were like stuck in an endless loop right there.
10, 15, 10, 15.
Yes. Okay, so they're
Which
calling
Super
it
Bowl is it?
They're calling it Android 10.
LQVT.
They're calling it Android 10, but it's actually Android 15.
Okay.
The big news is the beta just dropped today.
Could I put it on my
Like today, as if we recorded it. No, because you own a Samsung device.
phone? No.
I can, because I have a OnePlus device.
Yeah.
No, so mostly for Pixel and Pixel XL devices, Pixel 1, 2, and 3. Non-regular and XL devices can all get it. OnePlus also just announced that they were going to be dropping it as well because they were doing simultaneous development.
Okay.
Bunch of new features came out. First off, new gestures similar to the iPhone. Swipe up from the middle or whatever you get home, that kind of thing. You swipe in from the edges now to go back, which I think is kind of interesting.
Yeah. It doesn't Apple
It's
have
more, it's more annoying to me because when I'm reading manga, it'll go to another application. I'm like,
Yeah.
There's some things I'm
Tomato,
like,
tomato.
the app developer needed to make sure, be like, well, we're going to block this feature while we're doing this.
Yep. Part of it is going to be getting the developers in to do it, or to fix some of those options. From what I've seen from the videos, though, there must be an option to either pick the current navigation scheme, which does include a home button and a back button, but then include the gestures as like a hybrid sort of deal, or switch to new gestures anyway.
So if you were to do the gestures, it would remove the home button?
Oh yeah, that whole bottom bar. The idea is that whole section at the bottom where your home button and your back button are.
That's the
Squashes
whole
down.
reason why I have Android.
But to give you an extra space, and that's why I'm saying I saw other videos where they were still using the current style, so I think you can turn them on and off.
Zoom in, hopefully, and you can see how much
white
space
on
you're
white.
losing.
When you're watching Netflix, bro,
It's like an extra 2 centimeters or a centimeter and a half that you're really gaining. It's not tremendous.
So much space. Man, the one thing I wish they fixed was the amount of space that bar was taking up. I rest my case.
Anyway,
a case. Yep.
another good feature that I found was
Nutcase.
focus mode. Focus mode's kind of interesting. It allows you to pick specific apps that you want to disable, and they go completely silent for the entire period that you have focus mode enabled, and you can set it for a time period.
That's phenomenal.
So the idea is you could disable your email, you could disable YouTube, you could disable whatever, and the idea is those notifications will flood through at the end, like whenever you
Turn it back on.
off, that kind of, so you don't miss anything.
So this is wonderful. My wife works from home, and one of her biggest anxieties is when she's on her phone, they have other apps they communicate with, and she can't turn those off without turning off the notifications entirely.
Right.
And then she has to go back in and turn them back on, and it's a big hassle.
Yep.
So that sounds amazing.
So that's going to benefit her greatly.
yeah.
Probably my favorite feature, and the one that's going to be the most beneficial for people, but it's going to be the one that goes under the radar for the most part. Now, the director of Android has talked about this to no end because she loves it.
Okay.
Is all of your security patches and all of your important updates and bug fixes, that kind of thing, will now come through the Play Store.
Okay.
And the reason there is that every device currently, if you have a security patch or bug fix, has to wait for Google to publish the code. Then each of the manufacturers to take the code and then publish the update from there.
Okay.
Or the carriers actually have to do it sometimes because the carriers have their own specific code for specific phones, like Samsung's Verizon's specific version. Verizon's the one who has to publish it. So now, if Google can do it through the Play Store and it can auto-apply patches to the OS that way, you don't have to wait for Verizon or Samsung or OnePlus or LG or whoever to actually publish the updates or whatever. Google will just push them, and by the end of that day or whenever you normally update your apps, your newest security patch will be there.
See, that's really cool.
That's actually a really nice feature. Now, because that was one of the things that they started doing with like OS updates where they would happen sort of in the background. And you can kind of like almost in real time or whatever, just lightly restart the system to get certain pieces to work. This, to me, falls in that same realm.
Agreed.
So I'm super excited to see that. It's obviously something you're not actually going to see up front, but really nice feature.
Agreed.
Integrations for foldable phones, that's obviously coming into play because the Samsung Fold is going to come out, and it's going to have native OS support whenever it does, which is wonderful as well.
Something wrong with you.
Other than that, biggest thing, of course, too, just like with Apple, was a system-wide dark mode.
Oh, nice.
So
If you're part of Samsung, you already have that.
Google, well, I've got it on mine too. But the idea is that, well then, Google is currently rolling out dark
I'm
mode
not a child.
to all of its apps.
Yeah.
Which means you can get it on both OSs, on pretty much everything except for I think Gmail is the only one that's really left. And Gmail is kind of the one that people use most often, which is why it surprises me that that's the last one. But that one's coming as well.
Never mind. Go ahead.
Okay.
It's a tangent. I need
So-
you to finish your thought.
He does that.
Lots of new features coming. The name is infuriating.
Okay. Are there any other interesting features, like even small ones? Nothing that caught your eye?
Is it Q for King Sierra? For 15?
No.
They couldn't even.
That would have been fantastic. I had never heard that before, but that just blew my mind.
Google, you had the opportunity.
No, they
I
said
think it'd been funnier if it was quinoa.
no. I see. This is what I thought is there's nothing you could really come up with Q. So just do something ridiculous and then come right back to it.
Yeah.
Do quinoa, do quiche, whatever.
No, I really no.
Google Queef.
Quetzalcoatl, which is
Quetzalcoatl.
Quetzalcoatl is a South American like serpent deity. That would have been amazing. They're like, and update Quetzalcoatl.
Oh, that's that was in Uncharted, Golden Abyss.
Correct. Yes.
Wow. But
Also, Final Fantasy VIII, which just released today. I'm so excited.
everything is great about this update. I'm excited for this update,
That's good.
except for the stinking name, because
I just gave you a rationale. Just take it.
no,
He can't change the name though.
He just did. in his
no.
mind.
Well, yeah, I guess until I see Android 10 posted everywhere else.
You just like automatically replace it in your brain. Oh, look at that, Android Quetzalcoatl.
Oh, what was? No, it's a tangent. Anyway, yeah, no,
Never did
that,
those on here.
those
Sounds like a
are
medicine.
kind of the big features anyway. Of course, the normal stuff, performance improvements,
Yeah.
better display quality, whatever, that kind of thing. Like the normal improvements always come to play.
When will they allow me to pull a switchblade out of this?
Whenever you want to get the case that switches it out.
No,
Yeah.
I want the update to the phone so I can just go shaking. I'm just kidding. Anyways,
They have one that you can just shake it. It goes. Da, 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 da.
Sure.
I thought that was the funniest app
It's
in the
an
world because I
app,
would make
yeah.
mom mad. She'd be in the couch watching a movie. I'd be like, da, 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 da. Sound like an AK-47 going off behind her.
but anyway, it all sounds exciting. I'm actually, as an Android user, very excited for any new update
Yep.
going forward. And of course, I still think the gesture thing's silly. If I get to choose, that's fine with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, with that.
But I'm super excited for this. It's another good set of features coming, that kind of thing. A lot of this stuff is things that, ironically, like I'm watching these features and it's stuff that OnePlus gave me whenever I got the phone. So I'm looking at this, I'm like, I wonder how. And OnePlus is one of the first manufacturers to come out with the new version. So I'm curious how much they may have talked. Or how much Google might have looked at and said, that's a great feature. Let's ask them how they did that.
Well, not only
kind
that,
of
that's the one of the unique things when it comes to having an Android phone is that some of those features are already rolled
Right.
out because of manufacturers.
Yeah, because like Zen mode, I've already had,
Yeah.
and it's literally called Zen mode, but it's not quite to the same degree though. It actually
Exactly,
shuts
yeah.
down the majority of the phone from me. What was the other thing? Swipe gestures. I've been using those since the OnePlus 6T.
Because you're a tool.
Yeah,
Man, you angry today, bro?
I just hate swipe. It's so dumb.
well, buttons might still be an option for you. So
Sure,
there you go.
thank you.
Or get a OnePlus device. You can go back to the old style buttons, like the ones you have right now.
I'll get you a flip phone if you want.
Please. That'd be great. I could throw it at you.
Freaking old man.
It'll still live.
Get you that
Nokia.
V551 Motorola brick. Just
Though I will say, at the end of our little thing here, I did happen to buy one of those Amazon smart plugs this week because it was on sale. It was on sale, so they're normally $40
For the car or for the home?
for the home.
See, to me, that's just like an even smaller Echo Dot.
So no, do you know what the plug's for? It's to allow voice controls over that plug.
so you could say turn on the lights that
Correct,
you
yeah.
dictated.
Yeah, but
to
it's
them.
another
That's what
Echo device essentially, isn't it?
No, it pairs with your current Alexa or just the app. Like you don't even have to have Alexa at the house. You can or whatever. Yeah, a
I
word.
say I thought it was like the plug for the car or whatever.
Does that
which
plug
integrates
have a
Alexa into the
microphone,
car.
or is it
Oh,
working
no.
off of the Alexa?
It's working off of the
Okay.
current one you have. So if you don't have one of those devices in your house, you can still use the app for it
Yeah.
to turn it on and off. And that's the number one feature reason I got it.
Is it Bluetooth or Wi-Fi?
It is connected via Wi-Fi.
Okay, all right, cool.
And so the whole reason I got it is because we have dogs at the house, and every now and then we leave the house thinking, "Oh, we'll be back in 30 minutes," and lo and behold, it's 2 hours later. The lights have gone down.
Yeah.
ADD, and they're like,
Yeah. So I'm able to go into the phone now and go, "Oh, look at that, lights on."
Yeah,
"Oh, come on."
That's right. I have Wemo switches I've been using for that too.
Yeah. So
Same principle. They're useful to have though.
it's the first time because we have we all have a friend whom we share who is fairly tall, and he knows who he is. But I always thought he was a little douchey. That's right, I said it, a little douchey, because he has always had everything tied to his lights with voice command, and then will seal the plugs so you can't turn them off. And I'm like, what is wrong? How can I turn a light on if you're not here? You have to ask me. I'm like, because it's not even real voice command. It's all tied to the app on his phone. And I'm like,
well, that was like when I used to stay at his house or whatever, and like I would just ask him, "Hey, can you set me up with a pin on the alarm system or something like that?" But he'd have the motion sensor on after you go to bed. So then I'd wake up before him, and then I'd walk downstairs, and not even a half second later, wheel. And
All right, so what we're gonna
the
do
worst part is he didn't wake up.
oh yeah.
I had to go upstairs and grab him.
what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to his house, and then I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna turn it off, and then unplug it from the actual receptacle, and then put the cover back on.
Oh gosh.
So that
That's
way
gonna be pretty amazing.
He's got
That's
to
gonna be
figure it out.
Pretty amazing. Anyways, please let us know what you think about the Android
devious.
update. If you are an iPhone person, do you think this would sway you one way or another? Do you think this is interesting? Do you not care whatsoever? Let
Nope.
us
I got
know
already, so.
in the comments below. To like, if I am 12 o'clock, this would be like 7 o'clock. It's like right down here. But now it's time for last call.
Let's go.
You don't have to go home, but you have to knock over the figures. Of course, we have a few things that we would like to talk about before we finish the episode up. Number one is our streamer of the month, because it is now September, is our man Resilience, RESI1IENCE. His Twitch link is in the description, floating amorphously in the air above you. It's not even on the webpage. It's very bizarre. He has been streaming a ton of WoW Classic recently. He is not the only streamer we have who has been doing it, but he is playing so much it's not even funny.
he's
So
on
please
with that.
click the link and enjoy. We have also started a brand new show here at the Strange Gaming Network called The Co-op Crew. The first episode is with the game A Way Out, which Jean and I have started as well, which is not streamed, but we've been enjoying quite a bit. But our boys Tumbleweed and Predator 410 are both taking it
4010.
on
4010.
4010. See, look at that. This is what happens when you don't know how to spell. Actually, I thought Kelly was being like really cute with like 4010, like you know,
No.
yeah.
It still doesn't work.
It
It'd be
works for me,
410, but sure.
Yeah, that's why I thought he was being cute.
No.
Instead of saying 410, I thought he'd be like, it's 4010. Like, you're dumb. That's weird.
4010.
That's how my brain works. Doesn't matter. But you can check out that clip as well. It'll be included in the description. We have to put that in there, but you'll see it. It should be there. Don't worry. Of course, I found two really cool Humble Bundles that are also available because we're getting close to the spooky time. They have a spooky game bundle available for PC. The top tier, which is only $10, nets you Inside. Inside alone is worth $10.
Yeah.
And then
Hands
there's
down.
a plethora of other games, so please pick that up. As well as an RPG Humble Bundle, and that includes Cat Quest and the Borderlands collection. So it's all the Borderlands games, Handsome Jack
Wow.
collection up till now. So
You're
once
gonna-
again,
you're going to see a lot of these Borderlands deals coming up with 3 right around the corner.
uh-huh.
Yep.
You can find those in the description as well. And finally, to end the episode, a very short episode this week. Again, it was kind of light on news. Tokyo Game Show will be later this month, so we might be able to talk more then. I would like to ask the question, which movie, game, or show do you play during a specific holiday? Which holiday and why?
Oh man, you want to get super specific?
Oh, man, you got a real day.
I went
mine-
super general.
Mine's pretty easy.
Okay, let's do it.
So there's only one that I think I've ever watched consistently every single year.
Okay.
Remember.
The 5th
The 5th of November.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I have consistently watched V for Vendetta. Okay, so realistically, too, I missed one day and saw it on the 6th, and then every
Yeah.
time he said remember, I would say the 6th of November. But nonetheless, I
Screaming at
watched
the TV. Sex!
Well, no. Literally, I was sitting there watching it downstairs at the desk, and Dylan's sitting behind me, and he's just sort of like, what are you doing? Because he's just hearing me go, the 6th of November. But was there any context that he saw what I was watching? Oh, never mind. But yeah, no, that's the only thing I think I've ever consistently watched. I think I'm on 6 years now, 5
Nice,
years now.
nice.
Yeah, of watching it every year, whether it's by myself or with somebody, that kind of thing on the 5th of
Great
November.
movie to watch repeatedly.
Oh, it's so good. So good.
Well,
Do you need a second?
I don't even know what to do right now. Well, basically, like I thought you were asking, like, what kind of games do you play? So I'm like during the holidays and stuff, where I have a little bit more time, I tend to play like more like story-based games like Life is Strange or something like that. So I could really like envelop myself into the story and not feel rushed. But during the weekends, like I'm playing, party games with friends, or I'm playing multiplayer games or something that, I don't have to worry about necessarily finishing that day. I don't really have like, oh, this is the game I play every year. Like I usually play a game, I either platinum it or I move on from it. Either way. Either because I platinum it or I move on.
Sad fool.
There's just no game other than Ocarina of Time that I can think of that is just truly torn to my heart. And I'm like waiting for that damn thing to come to the Switch. And anytime it does, it'll be on there. But no, there's just I don't have like a ritual outside of like a Christmas Story because my dad is like freaking thinks the funniest
Always
thing in the world.
Yeah. So I have been making it a habit to watch holiday-themed television shows for the shows that I enjoy on the holiday or near the holiday. So, like, Friends always has a Thanksgiving. They've had a couple of Thanksgiving episodes.
Joey's got the turkey on his head,
and so does New Girl. So I would tend to watch those around Thanksgiving. I enjoy watching Nightmare Before Christmas on Christmas more than Halloween because it is a Christmas movie, not a Halloween movie. Very important to know. Die Hard is a must-watch Christmas movie for me.
That is
Nearly
highly
every year.
disputed, but I agree with you.
That is a Christmas film. You should go watch it.
I'll enjoy it on Christmas.
I enjoy it
I'm
quite
down
a
with
bit.
that.
And then
I'll enjoy it any time of the year.
my wife used to for years, and granted, her feelings have changed a little bit because of the main actor in the film, but for years would watch the movie The Ref with her mother on Christmas. And it has Kevin Spacey, I almost said Kevin Bacon, but the Dennis Leary. And it is about a dysfunctional family who is trying to celebrate their Christmas. And Dennis Leary is a cat burglar who basically holds the family hostage to try and escape the police. It's a great film. Unfortunate.
I like the whole Kevin Spacey thing. Like, I understand how people may feel about that, and that's fine. But like, I still enjoy those movies, like 21 or The Usual Suspects.
It's easier
House of
for
Cards.
me to watch the films than his show. Like, it's very hard for me to go back and watch House of Cards.
Yeah, I mean that's just because I lost interest mainly. Like after I already
It's
watched
a culmination
it,
of things.
But like, if
Part
I
of
was
it.
to watch The Usual Suspects, I don't feel bad watching that movie.
Negotiator 7.
God, 7.
Here for you. I also really enjoy playing
Man's a good actor. I'm sorry, he's a jackass, but
Like-
he's a great actor.
games that scare me, but not in a scary game way. Like, I'm not going to play Outlast. Like, I'm not going to play Resident Evil.
Nope.
But I like playing things that make me feel uncomfortable around Halloween. So some of those can be stealth games where it's like
When's Dead Stranding coming out?
November. I know.
Just
Well,
gonna miss it.
it'll be my Turkey Day game. So I really enjoy playing stealth games because the level of like, oh my God, I just got caught up. Or even smaller, like Little Nightmares is a great one where around Halloween, I'll probably pick it back up. You can sit in the room with me, hold my hand.
Yeah, I was gonna say that game's creepy
It's unnerving.
because you're just so tight. You're creepy as hell. They're like claymation. I'm gonna cut you. You remember that old claymation horror movie where they're like clay people like killing? It's super old. It weirds me out. I don't even remember what it's called.
This guy.
They took a scalpel and hit dude in the eye. It was
Scalpel.
scalpel.
And then Pokemon is always my fall game. Like, it doesn't matter what time or holiday. Fall is a Pokemon season for me.
Yeah, I mean it's because it comes out.
It usually comes out in the fall. But even if it's an off year, if you will, I'll pick it back up.
I will say, like during the summer, I seem to be a lot more adventurous.
Yes.
Adventurous about the type of games I play. Like I usually like on the weekends, those will be the times where I'm like, I'll try this out, this little indie game or whatever. But during the summer, when I used to have summer breaks from school, I would be like something random, something that I'm not necessarily used to, and would like kind of like spread my wings a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I don't have to care. I don't have all the time in the world to figure it out.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Don't have that crunch.
Let us know if there's anything interesting that you like to play during a holiday. What a holiday? Which
Holiday?
holiday and why?
Holly.
To answer, two-part question, if you will. You can leave that in the description. Once again, amorphously floating around you. I mean, really, the description's inside all of us, and that's what makes us special.
Yep.
But
Like a
until next
gingerbread house.
time, cheers.
Cheers.
It just gets weirder and weirder.